Hello, legal researchers, and welcome to Leveling Up Your Case Law Research. This is the second video in our Summer Internship Series, and today we'll be really digging deep into case law research. We'll be talking about the one good case method, and then once we have our one good case, how to get additional cases using that first case as a jumping off point. So, first, I want you to take a minute and think about what are some strategies to find your one good case. So, the idea is that we will find a case that is on our issue, has a similar fact pattern, and then using that case, we will not only validate it, but we'll use head notes, key numbers and topic summaries, and citators to find additional cases. And so let's think about some strategies so that we can find that first case. So here are some strategies that I came up with. The first is that we can research in secondary sources. Of course, secondary sources, especially if you're new to legal research or law in general, of course, secondary sources can help you to understand the issue a little bit before, or the area of law before you start doing your research. So I always recommend starting in a secondary source. If you're more familiar with that area of law, then using key numbers or topic summaries is a great way to get to the heart, to find a really good case to start with. And then, of course, you could always complete a keyword search just in cases or in the cases section of your database. As always, before we even jump into Westlaw and Lexis, we need to have a research plan. Today, I'm going to be talking about the TAP method, which is just a way of gathering keywords and synonyms. It's a different way of looking at how you can go about dissecting your research question. So what you would look for are the things, the acts, the persons, and places. And that will help you gather those keywords. Once you have those keywords, you can start thinking about synonyms. Be really careful. Think about the word child. Okay. We could be talking about a juvenile or a minor or an infant, right? So you have to think about all the words that could be associated with your initial word. Then think about jurisdiction and subject area. This will help us drill down in the databases so that we're not searching the entire database, right? We want to be really specific and strategic about our searching. Okay, so here's today's research problem. As I'm reading it, think about the TAP method, think about jurisdiction, think about subject area. And I want you to write down some notes and really think about how you would go about putting together a search string to use in Westlaw and Lexis. So the research problem that I'm going to use today to model this type of research is your supervising attorney asks you to find any Rhode Island case law that discusses the limitations on recovery of bystander negligent infliction of emotional distress. Okay, so we have a lot of great words in there. So read it over again. Think about keywords, synonyms, jurisdiction, subject area. Okay, so here are the keywords I came up with. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just the first few that I was like, this will probably get me something. But if I were really researching a deep problem, I would make sure that I had a long list of keywords, some synonyms if I needed them, so that if my first initial search does not work, I have additional words to go back to. So the words I chose were recovery, bystander, and obviously negligence, infliction of emotional distress. Other considerations, my jurisdiction is in Rhode Island, and this specific area of law is torts or personal injury. So next, we're going to take our strategies, we're going to connect it with our keywords, terms, and connectors, and we're going to find that one good case. Let's jump into Lexis, and we'll try our first strategy, which is finding a secondary source. Okay, so here we are in Lexis, and we're going to try to find a secondary source. So the first thing I'm going to do, I want you to make sure that the tile on the left-hand side says legal research, and I am under the content tab. So see where I am here. I'm going to click on secondary materials. Now, you can already pre-filter if you want in Lexis by choosing treatises and guides or law reviews and journals. But I'm going to just do a general secondary material search. Now that I'm here on this page, I'm going to scroll down because we know the jurisdiction is Rhode Island. So I really just want to search in the Rhode Island secondary sources. Okay, now that I've pre-filtered, I'm ready to put my keywords into the search bar, and I'm going to use some connectors so that I can research as efficiently as possible. Here's the search string that I came up with. So as you can see, I have all of my keywords and my keywords that I came up with in my research plan. And now I'm using the connectors and, so recovery and bystander and negligence within 5 words of infliction, within 5 words of emotional, within 5 words of distress. Using these connectors will help the algorithm algorithm sort through all the documents in the Rhode Island secondary sources so that the words will be close to each other in the document. So hopefully I will get efficient and effective results right away. So I won't have to post filter and use my limiters. Now, if you have to use your limiters, no problem. There's some great limiters here in Lexis and Westlaw, and they're very easy to use. But I find sometimes doing a very narrow search to start with, hopefully getting right to the heart of what I need, is the most efficient way to do it. But once again, if we just threw all these words in, no connectors, then we could use our filters afterwards to filter our list of results and find something just as good. Okay, so like I said, a very narrow search. We got one result. So let's take a look at our result. So this is a section of Rhode Island tort law and personal injury practice. So right on subject area, that's wonderful. And this is chapter 3, which is negligent infliction of emotional distress. Once again, right on point. And notice that the very first section is on bystander recovery. And so we're really getting to the heart of our issue right away, which is wonderful. I just want you to notice a few things on the left-hand side. You can see your search terms here. You can scroll to each of your search terms by just clicking this button. It will go to your next term. That's a great way of kind of skimming the secondary source to make sure that it's what you need, getting to the heart of the information. They also have a tab over here for table of contents. If I didn't know anything about this aspect of Rhode Island law, I would read the entire chapter just to kind of ground myself in the issue before continuing my case law research. But as we said before, or as I said before, A is on bystander recovery, and right off the bat, we get a case. And once again, this is the one good case method. So once you find a good case that's going to be on point, we're going to use that to find additional cases. Now you could continue to read the secondary source and get more case law to validate and use. But for right now, we're just going to take this first case and keep moving into validating and head notes and topic summaries and all the tools that will get you additional cases. So let's take this first case, which is on point. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is validate this case. Now, in Lexis, we use shepherd signals. So here you see the yellow triangle, which means caution. But why does it mean caution, right? That's what we have to determine. So if you go right over here to the right-hand side and click info, up pops the caution, and then it has this little why question. And so when you click on that, Lexis will tell you why its reference attorneys have determined that this case should have a yellow triangle. And so it gives you the cases. Specifically, they chose this one, this case, and then they tell you why they're cautioning you. Now, it might not even be on your issue. It might totally be on your issue. But it did, and yellow doesn't mean that you can't use this case. It just means you need to be cautious about using this case. Notice up top, it also says that this is just one of four, and you can view all four by clicking here. But I'm going to close this because I want to go into the head notes next to show you those. And of course, then we'll shepherdize this. We'll use that shepherd citator to find additional cases. So I'm going to scroll down a bit and go into the head notes. And let's try to find a head note that is on our issue that we can get additional case law from. So let's see. Head note 3 looks good. It's about potential plaintiffs. 3 factors relevant to the scope of potential liability, physical proximity, the actual witness, and the personal relationship. So once again, those are the factors for recovery, right? So this would be a good head note. Now you can shepherdize and narrow by this head note. It looks like it has one green case. In other words, it's good law specific to this head note. So we could definitely look at that. Another thing I want to show you is how to use the citators. So we're going to go over here on the right-hand side where the info is. Remember, we already looked at this caution. We're just going to go down a little bit and take a look at shepherdizing this document. Another way to get there would just be to go to citing decisions. This is the same thing in just two separate places. But I'm going to click shepherdize document. Up comes your citing decision analysis. So this gives you like a graphical view. You also have on your left-hand side limiters. So we could limit it by jurisdiction, which is actually what I'm going to do right now, because I just want to look at Rhode Island case law, right? That's what my supervising attorney was looking for. So I click on Rhode Island. It's going to narrow the results. It gives me the analysis. So I definitely look at the 2 caution and the 2 positive and the 2 neutral, right? Those are cases that I really want to dig into. You can also look at the discussion. So these 3 where it was analyzed, those I think are more important to research and the ones that are discussed than when it was, the case was mentioned or it was just cited. I also want to bring your attention to this. Right here, you have the legend. I'm going to click on this because this gives you all of the shepherd signals. So if you forget, Shepherdize the document, go into the legend, and it gives you the indicators here. So here you have, red means warning, orange is questioned, yellow is caution. And then it gives you an understanding of what that actually means, right? So here, negative treatment is indicated. So what the reference attorneys at Lexis are saying is that there's strong negative history or treatment of your case. So you really have to be very careful about using it. Now you could still use it if it's not even if the part where the negative treatment isn't even on your issue. A lot of cases have multiple issues that are decided within them. So just be really careful. You have to do a lot of reading and you have to really kind of analyze all of the case law to determine what case law works best for your situation, what you should include in that memo to your supervising attorney. Okay. So there we have it in Lexis. We went over how to find a secondary source to find that one good case as a jumping off point. And then, of course, we validated it using the Shepherd signals. We also used the head notes, or we looked at the head notes, and then we looked at the citator. We shepherdized the document to find additional case law. We're going to do the same in Westlaw, but this time we're going to use key numbers to find that one good case. Here we are in Westlaw. To find the key numbers, you need to go onto the Content Types tab, and then we're going to go over to key numbers. Now, I am going to put into my search box because, we could go to torts and we can look at negligence. You can browse, feel free to browse. To be a little bit more efficient, though, I usually just type in a few words. Now, you don't need Boolean search terms for this specific search. You can just type in some keywords. So our keywords are negligent, affliction, oh, infliction, emotional distress. Okay, so as you can see, we were able to get to the heart of the key numbers. Now we can determine which key number fits our issue or our research problem best. So here we have nature and grounds, elements in general, negligent in general. Here's one, relationship of plaintiff to third person, particular relationships. That sounds like bystander to me, but we would need to go in and definitely take a look at it. Illness, relationship of person to third in general. So this one would be good too. So it looks like key numbers 263, 262. Let's do the one, let's do in general. So 262. I'm going to click into that. So in general, it gives us 164 cases. Now we only need one, right? This is the one good case method, but it needs to be Rhode Island. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to jurisdiction and I'm going to make sure that it is a Rhode Island case. Okay, so that gives us 4 cases. Now remember in Westlaw, we always have to hit that blue apply button. So let's go up to the top and click apply. So now you took it from 164 to only 4 cases. Now from here, search within results, we could put bystander if we had more. We don't have a ton of cases. We could look at all of them and pick the one that we think it would be best. My guess is that they're probably all on point. Okay, I need to hit apply. Yeah, it kept all 4 of them. So let's go take a look at the first case. So here is a case Supreme Court of Rhode Island from 2019. So, and it's got a yellow flag. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's get into the case and then we'll talk about validating and head notes and citators. Okay, so it took us right to the head note, which is really cool. So here we have infliction of emotional distress. Two classes may bring claims, those within the zone of danger, and bystanders related to the victim whom they witness being injured. So those are the cases we really want to look at, right? As we think about our research problem. So you can hit 4 cases that cite this head note. I want to go up to the top here and just mention that usually I validate the case first. It jumped us to the head notes. That's why I started talking about that first, but it has a yellow flag. What does that mean? Yellow means caution, right? And so here in Westlaw, if you hit powered by KeyCite, it will open up a window that will give you an understanding of what all the flags mean. So in this case, there's sub-negative treatment, but it's not been reversed or overruled, according to the Westlaw reference attorneys. Now, there's one negative treatment. You could jump to the negative treatment tab, and that will tell you exactly which case. That will tell you which case has what negative treatment this case has for your original case. We can also go to citing references. This is the citator. We go to cases. That gives us 11 cases to look at. You can use your filters to filter by jurisdiction, but these are all cases that have cited your original case. You can limit it by jurisdiction. So there's 3 Rhode Island cases. So we've already really just reduced our list by quite a lot just by looking at the 3 Rhode Island cases. And here I want you to show that you can see the depth of, analysis. This case has, it's cited it, but hasn't talked about it a ton. Once again, this case, it was cited. It cited your original case, and this one as well. You also can see the key numbers too, right here. Torts in general, libel and slander. That's probably not going to be helpful to our case. This one, maybe not, also not helpful to our particular issue of bystander. Okay, so that's how you would go ahead and use one good case to find additional cases. Next, let's go back into Westlaw, and I'm going to show you how you would do a keyword search to find that one good case to start with. So here I am, Content Types tab. I need a case, but specifically I need a Rhode Island case. So let's scroll down and click on Rhode Island. And then I need to put in my search string. I'm going to use the one that I used in Lexis and see what kind of results we get. I may need to tweak it a bit though. So here we have our search string. You can see here we are searching just Rhode Island cases, both state and federal. So I'm going to click our search button. And that gave us 5 cases to look at, which is not a lot to start with. Notice on the left-hand side, you have a lot of different filters that you could use. So here you would, if this was a case that you were interested in taking a look at, you would once again go into the case, Validate it. So this one has a yellow flag. You could go to your negative treatment to find out why it has a yellow flag. You can use your head notes to find additional cases. You can also go into citing references, hit cases, limit your results, and go through that list as well. So we're using one good case to lead us as a jumping off point to lead us to additional cases to help you write your memo to your supervising attorney. And so there you have it. This is how you would go about doing case law research using the one good case method. If you have any questions on case law research or any legal research at all, feel free to contact me directly. My email address is on the screen, or you can contact all the law librarians at lawlib@umassd.edu. Thanks for watching and have a great day.